Sky News has obtained a copy of Harry's new book, due to be published on Tuesday. In it, he reveals that he and his brother William wanted to reopen the investigation into the death of his mother, Princess Diana, believing that there had been corruption and cover-ups. He says, especially the summary conclusion that our mother's driver was drunk, and as a result, that was the only cause of the accident. It was simplistic and absurd. Even if the man had been drinking, even if he had been drunk, he wouldn't have had any problem driving through such a short tunnel unless paparazzi were following him and dazzled him. Why had those paparazzi got off lightly? Why weren't they in prison? Who had sent them? And why weren't those people in jail either? What other reason could there be apart from corruption and cover-ups being the order of the day? We agreed on all those questions and also what we should do next. We would issue a statement asking jointly for the investigation to be reopened. We might call a press conference. Those who dissuaded us. Prince Harry also reveals that he and his brother William asked their father Charles not to marry Camilla. In the book, it says that's why, when the question came, Willie and I promised our father that we would welcome Camilla to the family. The only thing we asked for in return was that he didn't marry her. You don't need to get married again, we asked him. Prince Harry also admitted in the book that he killed 25 people during his tour in Afghanistan. He says this: most soldiers don't know exactly how many kills they have to their credit. Under battle conditions, you often fire indiscriminately. However, in the age of Apaches and laptops, everything I did in the course of 2 tours of duty was recorded and time-stamped. I could always tell exactly how many enemy combatants I'd killed, and it seemed essential for me not to be afraid of that figure. Among the many things I learned in the armed forces, one of the most important was to be accountable for my own actions. So my number, 25, it was not something that filled me with satisfaction, but I was not ashamed either. Naturally, I would have preferred not to have that figure on my military resume or in my head, but I would also have preferred to live in a world without the Taliban, a world without war. However, he goes on, even for a casual practitioner of wishful thinking like myself, there are realities that cannot be changed. Tour of duty nearing end around Christmas 2012. The Duke of Sussex also claimed he was attacked by Prince William during a row about his wife, Meghan. He, William, called me another name, then came at me. It all happened so fast, so very fast. He grabbed me by the collar, ripping my necklace, and he knocked me to the floor. I landed on the dog's bowl, which cracked under my back, the pieces cutting into me. I lay there for a moment, dazed, then got to my feet and told him to get out. In an interview with Good Morning America to promote the book, Prince Harry was quizzed on why he described Prince William as his arch nemesis.
There's a quote in this book where you refer to your brother as your beloved brother and arch nemesis. Strong words. What did you mean by that?
There has always been this competition between us, weirdly. I think it really plays into, or is played by, the heir spare.
Sky's Ashna Huranag joins me now. Good evening, Ashna. So, well, where to start? I mean, some extraordinary revelations.
You really do get a sense not only that this is a huge rift which is ripping not only through the Duke of Sussex household but also right through the royal family too, and something that has been going on for years. And in his own words, and this is in the Duke of Sussex, Harry's own words, he has written this book, you get a sense of that huge amount of resentment that he has, and touching first of all on the fact that he wants, and it continues to press for answers on how his mother died, saying that he and his brother to reopen an investigation into those circumstances in August of 1997 to discover exactly what led to her death. He says that they were dissuaded from doing so. He refuses to accept the summary conclusion, he says, that the driver had been drinking and that this was an accident. He repeatedly says that he wanted answers for this and that both of them wanted answers from this, but that they were advised not to do so. I mentioned there the resentment, and you do get a sense of how deep this rift between the two brothers really is. Speaking about their time at Eton together, he describes the fact that Prince William did not want to know him, did not want it known within the school that they were brothers. He says, "Willie had told me to pretend not to know him. You don't know me, Harold, and I don't know you. For the 2 previous years," he explained to me, "Eton had been his sanctuary, and at that time, the fact we studied at the same school seemed to him a real torture." We then hear about this physical altercation that happened once Prince William had allegedly made comments about Meghan, describing her as being difficult, abrasive and rude. And this was an altercation that took place at Nottingham Cottage, where the couple was staying in 2019. And we hear how Prince William allegedly grabbed Prince Harry and threw him to the floor. Again, giving a sense of how far that rift has gone and how essentially Prince Harry had continued to compare himself to his brother all these years. There's a quote in there talking about how they shared a bedroom in Balmoral. In describing his brother's bedroom, he said it was luxurious. Mine was less luxurious, he says. I never asked why, I didn't care. Although I didn't even need to. 2 years older than me, Willie was the heir while I was the spare. Those are the words of Prince Harry. He said that slang was often used by my father, by my mother and grandpa, even by grandmother. The heir and the replacement, they would say it without being judgmental, but also without any ambiguity. I was the shadow, the supporting actor, plan B. And we get more of a sense of what led him to take cocaine for the first time, age 17. He said he wanted to feel different, but it didn't make him as happy as others seemed to be. But when talking about the Queen Consort, Camilla, in this is where there are big question marks of how the palace's current silence, whether that's able to stick. King Charles has often said that when it comes to Camilla, that for him is very much a red line that's not to be crossed. So the fact you've got this statement essentially from Prince Harry saying that him and his brother didn't want his father to marry Camilla. Whether Buckingham Palace or Kensington Palace go on to comment specifically on that, we'll have to wait and see. But so far, no comment from either the Palace or Kensington Palace on any of these allegations.
No, it'll be interesting to see whether or how they respond. And just one does really wonder what Harry is trying to achieve by all this.
He says at the beginning of this book, this is his truth and it's in his own words. I don't think many people have expected it to be just as explosive as we are seeing it play out. Not only have we had the Oprah Winfrey interview and then the Netflix documentary that came out, followed it, and also now this. And it is some 500 pages of some seriously damaging allegations, really peeling back that facade, I suppose, that he seems to think that the institution has, and clearly some very deep ingrained issues that he's had with them for such a long time. When responding to the racism allegations, of course, following the Oprah interview that the couple gave, Prince William was very open to the press, and he did say that the royal family is not a racist family, responding to those allegations. The question is also how much their silence is able to hold. Surely there will need to be some answers given here, because we're not hearing the full story, of course, and that's important to know when you're reading this book too. In that altercation, for example, we're not hearing what Prince William allegedly said to invoke that reaction. But so many questions to come from this, but also how incredibly sad a lot of these revelations are too, that this rift is so deep that he's willing to say these things in a very public way, and all within a book that's not even been released yet.